What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and in this video I talk about what factors I believe will help you get into the Amazon Influencer Program. So if you've been denied, declined, given the boot, any of the above, then you'll definitely want to pay attention to what I have to say. I'm super fired up to show you this. I hope you're fired up. Let's do this. All right, so let's talk about why you can't get into influencer. So I understand it's frustrating if you can't get in. However, here are a few tips that you might want to follow in order to improve your odds of getting in. And I can tell you this much, there's a lot of people out there that are doing it wrong, and we have tested a ton of accounts, gotten a bunch of data from people that have also done the same. And here is so far what our findings have shown. Now, I do want to say that in case you want the full in-depth findings, this is going to be more short and sweet, but if you want the in-depth whole findings, my email is below. Send me an email because I just haven't taken the time to create a landing page and all that good stuff, but send me your email below by sending me an email. That sounds confusing as hell, but send me an email and I will be more than happy to send you the findings. They're not going to be pretty, but you're going to get all the data that I do have so far. So let's talk about number one tip in order to get approved on the Amazon Influencer platform. And that is, don't be worried too much about how many followers you have. So a lot of people are up in panic, like, oh shit, Liz, I only have 100 followers. What we found so far is that followers really don't have anything to do with it. There are other bits of data that are far more important than followers. So it is worth a shot to try once. And even before we go further, let me kind of explain one thing that a lot of people might overlook. There are technically two phases to getting approved into Amazon Influencer. Phase one is usually judged by a bot. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, bots and AI are taking over the world. The bots are technically just checking to see what the account looks like. If everything just looks good from certain data points that they do have on their end, they're just going to give it a thumbs up and throw you right through. That's not the important phase. A lot of people get approved during that. If you don't get approved for that, there's several reasons for that. Again, I do have my email below, so you can send me an email and I'll send you the guide and you can read more about what those data points possibly are. But there's no conclusive data as to what exactly they are. It's just a guess, but it is an educated one. So again, just come to the understanding that phase one involves bots. Now, phase two gets a little more technical, gets a little more scary, and this is the phase where most people are getting rejected and they're just getting the boot off of Influencer before they even begin. This phase requires you to upload 3 videos that you produce to show them how you're gonna submit review videos on the platform. And these seem to be going through a manual review process, and they're looking for a lot of other data points here. And I do think I have this phase figured out. Again, that report is available through my email below. Send me an email. I know you have to take that extra step, but that's just gonna show, do you have what it takes? Because this is not easy work. Although it seems like it is, it's not. You're gonna have to be filming videos all day long. So again, going back to the first tip, don't worry about how many followers you have. Just worry that you have an account. There's a couple other things that you wanna look for in the account. We'll cover those here shortly. Let's go on to tip number 2. If you decide to try and buy an account and you get that automatic thumbs up for phase one, you should be a little still concerned. Why should you be still concerned? That's because, again, you're not into phase 2 yet. There's still a lot of data points that you have to prove in order to beat that, what looks to be manual review process. So don't go buying an account blindly. That's not going to guarantee you get in, at least during this present time. That might have been possible in the past, but as of right now, all the data that I have and that I've seen out there shows that there is a human manual review process and that people just aren't getting through that easily. There's a couple things that you got to look at. So don't just buy an account blindly. Make sure you do and are aware of some of those data points, and then you can use those to try and help you buy an account in a much smarter fashion. Which takes us to tip number 3. If you're gonna have posts on your account, which you should, that is part of the equation, make sure that those posts have engagement. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and buy engagement. However, that is possible, but you're going to have to show that people are engaging with your content. They're enjoying your content. They're liking your content. And in some cases, they're making comments about your content. Don't just expect to submit a very dry profile and get thumbs up on phase 2. You still will get through phase 1. I'm telling you, it's easy to get through phase 1. A squirrel with a calling card could get through phase 1 if they follow all the steps, which is they've got a couple followers and they've got engagement. A squirrel could get through, guys. So if you're getting through phase 1, don't start cheering. Don't throw a fucking party. Don't get so excited because you're almost expecting that paycheck. You're not going to get guaranteed into phase 2. You got to pay attention to certain important data points. Now, let's go ahead and go on to tip number, I think we're at 4. I lost track. I can't even count to 10. I'm worse than the squirrel with the calling card. All right, tip number 4. I was right. We are on tip number 4. Is if your account is fairly new, unless it's on TikTok, I can't even say TikTok. Unless it's on TikTok, you're pretty much screwed. What Amazon Influencer really wants to see here is an account with age and or that social proof, meaning it's just old as shit. This thing is older than the dinosaurs. If you've been on Instagram since it's existed, that's a very good sign. You don't have to really have that many followers in that case, versus if you just open up this Instagram 3 months ago and now you have 100,000 followers with no engagement, you get 10 likes on your posts. That's clear as day purchased, even the followers. So make sure that everything makes sense on the account. Don't think that you can trick a bot, because the bot is very specifically, it's connecting to the account via Instagram. It's using some sort of connection or agreement that they have between themselves and Instagram, and it's verifying these data points. So it's not going to cut it if you have 100,000 followers and 10 likes per post. Just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when we look at that shit even as a viewer. Like, it's clear as day who bought followers, right? Who gives a shit how many followers you have? The whole point of this is the bot will know. The bot is using intelligence that you don't even know about. You're not even aware of the data points. So make sure you don't try to cheat the system, and think of these things before you submit. Number 5 is don't be too scared to try. Remember, it's not just a 3 strikes and you're out on phase 1. You do have 3 strikes and you're out in phase 2, but during phase 1, don't be afraid. I've heard some people trying dozens and dozens of times until they finally get in. And the reason they finally get in is because they continue to build that account that they're submitting through phase 1. It's really their account. They're trying to create engagement. They're trying to do the things that they believe Amazon would look at and want to approve in order to put on the platform. So again, don't feel that you only have one shot for it all and you're scared to try. You could be very lucky and just get in. So try and get in. If you don't get in, continue to improve upon your social media profile. And then eventually, as long as you continue to improve upon that, you should be able to get into phase 1. Phase 3 after that is quite easy. And I'm going to leave you guys with a bonus tip, which I explain in thorough detail in my guide that I'm creating. So my email is below in case you do want to get a copy of that guide. And that guide basically tells you all the data that I have that will show you how you can more than likely get into the influencer program, even if you failed countless amounts of times. So let's talk about the last and final bonus tip. And again, I will explain that in depth in the guide. It's a little too thorough to explain here, but I will try and simplify it and dumb it down, because I know there's a lot of other squirrels just like me out there listening to this video. And that is this simple equation that congruency is greater than frequency is greater than recency. And what I mean by that is that there has to be a certain level of congruency between your profile and in phase 2, the videos that you submit. So I will explain that in the guide in depth, but that is the most important factor that Amazon is looking at in terms of approving you in phase 2. And most people don't even realize this, see? And in terms of frequency, it means how often are you posting on that account? Have you been posting frequently? Meaning, are you regularly posting and showing Amazon that you, in fact, are an influencer worthy of getting on the platform? And finally, that is greater than recency, meaning how recently have you posted? So as long as you're posting once, twice a week, that's a good sign. But if you were posting once, twice a week, and then all of a sudden stopped, and there's nothing but crickets, and there's been 2-month gap between a recent post, that's not a pretty good indication that you are a influencer worthy of getting on the platform. And that is the last and final bonus tip that I do explain in depth in my guide, which is available below at my email address. I'm doing this shit old school just because I'm lazy to put up a landing page, people. It is what it is. Either way, questions and comments go below. I always personally answer those, and I'll see you guys next time.